Welcome back to the Sharp Sports Report. Oh my lord, it's been a while, Brandon. It's been a long time, but luckily,
Listen, listen. I was in Vegas last week. Okay, I almost pulled a Doug from The Hangover. Apparently, I almost got lost myself while being heavily intoxicated on our first night in Vegas. But I did make it back to the hotel, so that was a plus. Everyone else was sleeping, but I do want to say Vegas is absolutely beautiful. The Las Vegas Raiders Stadium is ridiculous. And T-Mobile Arena, the home of the Vegas Knights, which I did get some Vegas Knights gear while I was there. So I am happy to bring that home. But if you are of age or if not of age, I highly recommend you beg mom and dad to go to Vegas. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. A lot of homeless people. A little scary, but a lot of fun.
and Alec, being Alec, super busy guy with work and just the many things he does outside of this podcast. And well, I had college visits and school. Um, but now we're back, so none of that matters. We're here. But luckily, the sports we're covering right now, not a whole lot happens. Nothing too crazy happens in that time. There isn't like a bunch of different things that's going on. The MLB is the first couple games. NHL is winding down towards its postseason. NFL is heading right towards the draft. And right now, the NBA is in the playoffs, and that's what we're talking about right now. Brandon, I think we got to start out with probably the most wild series, depending on who you ask. I'm assuming the general consensus is this Nets Celtics series, with the Nets continuing to be the only winless team in the entire postseason.
Shocking. I mean, shocking beyond belief. After the first two games, I was like, okay, at least it was competitive. Then I don't know, just something happened. They shut down KD completely. KD has not gotten the ball. He's not gotten his shots off. Um, I believe he has attempted less shots than I think he's attempted like less shots in two games than he's like ever had, which is just absurd. He's been completely shut down. I don't know what's going on. Do I dare say that it's the curse of Ben Simmons? Because ever since he's been there, what has happened? Storyline's been on Ben
Yeah,
Simmons. When is he going to
yeah.
come back? He was supposed to come back for tonight's game. He decided, oh, hey, my back is too sore again. And he's not playing. When the team needs him probably the most, a game defining game four tonight in Brooklyn, in front of at least the home fans he would have been in front of, and he chooses to not show up. I feel like the Nets do win tonight. I don't think it will be a sweep. But I mean, to change my mind on them winning the series now, I would have to see them win by like 30 points and have KD go off for like 52.
It
Other than
would
that,
take a
I,
hell
I,
of a
I
lot.
will I will have to say Jason Tatum has put himself in the top five players of the NBA right now.
Absolutely, and when you look earlier this year, when the Celtics had their struggling, whether they were 500 going into the All-Star break, there was all that talk. Jaylen Brown is not the guy to go with Jason Tatum. He may not be the guy going forward. Oh my God, as that 1-2 punch looked fantastic in this first series. Their defense, just as an entire team, is smothering. And their defense leads to great offense. They don't need to take entire possessions to score, because if they feel like it, they can take threes, they can drive in, kick out, or like I said, their points come off of transition. This team is just so well rounded, and Ime Udoka has done an absolutely insane job coming in for Brad Stevens this year. I mean, you should have been coach of the year in my opinion. Just what how they started and where they are now, it's absolutely bonkers. The change we've seen, and oh my God, the Nets look like shit. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and it really makes you think, especially what we've seen from the Nets and the Lakers this year, that you can't just throw teams together. It's not how it
Yep.
works. You got to have there's got to be chemistry there. It's got to be everything's got to work well. You can throw all these talented guys around there. That does not necessarily mean that it is going to win. I love Steve Nash as a player. I'm not sure he's going to be or should be the long-term head coach in Brooklyn. I'm not sure he knows exactly what he's doing. He has great IQ, but I'm just not sure it's there from a coaching standpoint. And I think if they want to succeed, they're going to have to find someone who has that experience in coaching. And Brandon, you mentioned Ben Simmons, obviously me being a Philadelphia fan and him being an ex-Sixer. This is not entirely surprising. I actually laughed my ass off when I saw that because it's coming out that they are exacerbated at the fact that he's not playing in this game four. It was a previously agreed upon thing that he would be playing in this game four. Then a day before the game, he's like, "Nah, I can't. My back's a little too sore." That's just absurd. And when you look at it, this just James Harden trade is becoming a little more fair than previously ruled, as it's turning out that it's more just Seth Curry and Andre Drummond for James Harden, as Ben Simmons just hasn't played. My favorite tweet from all of this though was from Bill Simmons, who jokingly came out and said that Ben Simmons is looking to eye a Game 7 or Game 8 return for this series.
Yeah, it looks worse on him now than it probably ever has. Cried and bitched his way to get the $20 million from Philadelphia. Brooklyn fans were stoked to have him back, and there was the whole storyline that he'll be back for a playoff series, whether it's late in the playoff series or whatever. He was gonna be back. To now he's complaining about his back again. Like, come on, man. The team's down 3-0. At least you're another body out there, especially a defensive body. And to go along with the whole defensive talk, I want to talk about how surprising Blake Griffin played. Like, he played very well in Game 3. It made me think, well, what the hell? Where the hell was he at the other two games? He was stretching the floor out. He was shooting threes like Blake Griffin usually does, playing great defense, actually. I mean, great on-ball defense, getting bored, doing what Blake Griffin does best. He's having another option on the floor. I don't know what's going on. There's a part of me that's going to say tonight is going to be the end of the Brooklyn Nets saga. Steve Nash might be gone. Do we see a blow-up of the big three, though? Will KD stay? Does Kyrie want to get out? I mean, are we going to see Ben Simmons work his way to get out again? But we don't know at this point. I'm hoping Brooklyn wins tonight because I feel like as of right now with Kyrie and KD, that's probably one of the best duos right now in the league when they're on. But I don't know what's going on. They just hit this massive slump. But good luck to you guys. I think the game's already on, if I'm mistaken. It's 8:30 right now.
Yeah.
But I do want to get on to another series.
Real quick, the game currently is in the third quarter, and the Celtics lead by 7.
Yeah. And what does KD have?
KD is currently sitting at 25 points. Kyrie has 9.
And that's the problem. If one of them goes off, the other one does not show up, and I don't know what's happened because they both used to show up all the time, and it was unstoppable.
I'd say when the Sixers got rid of Seth Curry and Andre Drummond, it released confusion of the offense because Seth Curry, it felt like you needed to get him the ball because the dude's 3-point shooting is bonkers. And Andre Drummond, you felt like you had to give him time and take him beat off the court because it's Andre Drummond. He's a great name. He's a great basketball player. But then you bring in James Harden, then you don't have to worry about Andre Drummond. James Harden's come in and said, hey, I don't need to score. I can get 14 assists a game. Tyrese Maxey has taken scoring into his own hands, but it hasn't disrupted the flow of the offense. When you go to the Nets, adding Andre Drummond and Seth Curry has clearly interrupted the flow of the offense. I don't think they know exactly what they're doing when everyone's on the court. I'm not sure Steve Nash has drawn up plays that run smooth enough to get each player a possible option on every possession. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know if that's true. I don't know what they're doing, but it's not working. I don't know.
On to the next series, though, because I'm happy to talk about this. I'm so happy to see someone be physical with Trae Young and show him that he's not top shit. If he's on, I get it. He's a streaky shooter, but he cannot play defense to save his life. And look what happens when someone actually plays defense on him and will play physical in his face. He cannot do anything. And then everyone went bonkers because he hit that stupid floater with 4 seconds left that just happened to roll in. Oh, Ice Trae is back. No, Ice Trae is still ice cold. And that's what happened. Miami Heat are going to win this series 4-1, or no, it'd be
No,
4-2, I believe.
it would if they win their next game, it'd be 4-1.
Well, then that's going to happen. Jimmy Butler's been fantastic, and Duncan Robinson has shown up for the playoffs. He
Well,
showed up for
yeah,
the playoffs last year.
that is a team that I look at where they've built with a perfect formula. The only big additions they've made over the last 2 years are Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler, which are great. Like those are the great players and they're huge name pickups, but those are two players who can fit in almost any system. Kyle Lowry has shown that he finds a way to win and do what he needs to do anywhere, anytime with anyone. Jimmy Butler has gone to win with every team he's played for. Everyone else on the team is homegrown. Everyone else on the team has been in Eric Spoelstra's system for a while now. Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. This team is built to win. There's at times you see some animosity where it's like you don't know if everyone's there mentally and they're on each other's side and on each other's page all the time. But 99% of the time they're all there. And Brandon, you mentioned their defense they're playing against Trae Young, where Trae Young is getting guarded by Tyler Hero. Then they send a screen, and he's getting guarded by Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo is like 6'8", but he's quick enough. He's got great footwork that he can stay in front of Trae Young. They go to send another pick, and then he's getting guarded by Jimmy Butler. The defense on that team is so insanely great that honestly, I could see them coming out of the East, depending on who they play in that Western and the Eastern Conference Finals.
It'll be interesting. I'm just happy to see someone actually shut Trae Young up in all this publicity because don't get me wrong, he's a great player, but he's not this unstoppable force. Like, just stop it. Get out of here. Oh, God. Well, it looks like Joel Embiid returned to the favor in Toronto by hitting his buzzer-beating 3 to win the game. They did give up a game, but I think we both kind of figured that was going to happen. I'm pretty sure they'll be finishing the series tonight. Is it tonight or tomorrow?
It will be tonight. They're currently playing right now, and the Sixers are indeed down by 2 at the end of the first quarter, though. So that's all good.
Exactly. I think they'll close out the series. It's still Joel Embiid. He's been unstoppable this entire late second half of the season. He's been unreal. But I give Toronto a lot of credit. It's a very young team. Scotty Barnes, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam. There's a lot of talent there. So, but also congrats to Scotty Barnes for winning Rookie of the Year. Vince Carter's a pretty cool tribute that he had for Scotty Barnes. I don't have much to say about it. I just know Philly will more likely win the series tonight, which means they'll be facing
Miami.
Yeah, which would be a great series to watch. Fantastic series.
Jimmy versus Joel.
But hey, what did I tell you when we had our predictions before the playoffs started? Because this is where it's going to tie into this next series here. The Bucks look phenomenal without Chris Middleton right now. And when he's back, good Lord, that series between the Celtics and Bucks is going to be something to watch. I mean, Bobby Portis, Bobby Goggles, or Bobby Bifocals, are you kidding me? Coming out guns blazing.
Well, and there's so many similarities between these two teams that make them so unbelievably great. They have these deep benches with anyone has a chance to go off. Our Notre Dame guy, Pat Connaughton, can go off. Grayson Allen, kind of a douche, but he can go off. Chris Middleton, when he's in, can drop 50. Giannis obviously can drop 50. He's a 2-time MVP. Jrue Holiday is great. George Hill, he was injured the other day, and they still dominated on both ends of the ball. The Bucks are such a deep, well-connected. Everyone seems to love each other on that team. No one's selfish. They're like, hey, we know Giannis is the guy, but Giannis knows he's the guy too. But Giannis is such an unselfish guy. Just his personality. He's just a great teammate to work with. Coach Bud is a fantastic head coach. It's just it's a great system, which is a very similar system you see in Boston, which will make that series so good. Giannis versus Tatum, Brown, Middleton, Marcus Smart, Jrue Holiday. It's just matchups galore in that series that hopefully we do get, unless barring something crazy happens. It should be just phenomenal. We're expecting Celtics, Bucks, and Sixers Heat. Those will be 2 insanely, hopefully, no injuries, no, nothing crazy. 2 great series.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of great series, I don't know if you agreed with me on this one, but I said this was probably going to be the most exciting one to watch, and it has not disappointed. And it has been the Timberwolves and Grizzlies over there in the West Conference. Karl Anthony Towns, Ant Edwards, Ja Morant, and Desmond Bane. Some of those highlight plays they have had over those first couple of games were absurd. Ja Morant jumps out of the gym and blocks that ball right at the peak. Are you kidding me, dude? Like, honestly, I don't even care who wins the series. I just want to see how far it goes. Both teams are super athletic. I still think Memphis pulls it out because what worried me the most about Minnesota was that Karl Anthony Towns only had 9 points in game 3.
Shot 4 shots.
And you're the superstar of that. I mean, you're the face of that franchise, and you're shooting 9 points or having 9 points and almost fouling out within the first 3 quarters. It's just unbelievable. I still like Ja Morant and the boys. I love Jaren Jackson. He's still super young. Team is super talented.
Desmond Bane.
He's a monster.
Monster.
From TCU, Horned Frogs. The dude looks like he should be playing linebacker for crying out loud.
He's a big boy.
And shoots lights out. Like, that's the thing. He's built like that and shooting that. Are you kidding me? The Western Conference has been not disappointing either, which I'm surprised. I do worry for the Suns that Devin Booker is out for another week. They did lose last night, but hey, you and I said it before. Brandon Ingram has shown up. I mean, he's a young superstar, easily. And imagine if they had Zion. I wouldn't even give Phoenix a chance.
No. Well, I also want to say earlier, April 14th, when we made the first video about the NBA playoffs, I did say that I thought the Timberwolves were going to beat the Grizzlies in 7. So I don't think it's
still up in the air.
It's still up in the air. I'm not entirely sure it's going to happen, but it's getting close. So I'm excited for that. 2, we look at the stuff Zion is doing before the games, the 360 dunks. He's running around the court, putting up threes like it's nothing. You can't give him 15 minutes, man. You can't give him 10 minutes. I mean, having you on the court even for that short amount of time would help them out a hell of a lot. I mean, 10 minutes, you put up 7 points. I might be a little generous, but he could do it, is what I'm saying. And when you have Ingram and him and the veteran leadership and great scoring and CJ McCollum, Jose Alvarado, who sits in the corner and sticks behind you and locks you down on defense while pickpocketing you. Jonas Valanciunas does what he's always done, which is just be an insanely great rebounder, ball on both the offensive and defensive end. The Pelicans of the future, if they can keep everyone on that team and maybe bring in another solid bench or role player, they're gonna be dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we're hyping up all these other matchups, and I'm just gonna quickly touch on the Warriors and Nuggets. I think the Warriors just gave them that game the other day. I mean, they were up by 9 with 2 minutes to go. And I love the new slogan that the Warriors have for Poole, Thompson, Steph, and Draymond PTSD. It's great. I mean, Jordan Poole, who would have thought he would have been like that? I mean, he's looking like a young Steph Curry just from the way he shoots. Steph Curry started coming on at that age. I think they win the next game, and I think they're still one of the deadliest teams in the West right now just because of all the shooting. And Draymond Green, he doesn't have to put up crazy amount of points. He's that guy who'll get in your face, get rebounds, talk shit, get steals, play great defense. But I think the most disappointing series has been the Mavericks and Jazz. I have not watched a single game because it looks horrible. The Jazz have looked awful. And I feel like this is indicative of how their playoff runs have been the past couple of years. They'll get there in a top 5 or 6 seed, then do nothing in the first round. Donovan Mitchell just does not show up. Rudy Gobert just does not show up. The Mavs don't have Luka Doncic, and you're still losing games the way you are. I mean, I get it. They have Spencer Dinwiddie, who's not a slouch, and he's not a scrub, but you give 43 points to Jalen Brunson. I mean, come on, man. You still have Mike Conley, who's still a great defender. You still have Spider Mitchell, Royce O'Neal. I think it's time that they need to probably get rid of some front office people or the coach there, find some other players to bring in because it's just not working in Utah.
Something needs to happen in Utah. I heard people say Rudy Gobert, but what are you going to get back for Rudy that's going to improve you to such a level? I can't think of a trade package anyone would do with you that would benefit you in any way. And you mentioned D. Mitchell not showing up, and that's not just on the offensive side. That's on the defensive side. When he's guarding someone, that player shoots on average 20% higher than their normal shooting percentage.
Yep.
Holy crap. That is bad defense. And I don't know if it's because he's sagging off too much. He's not in their face, or they're just randomly knocking down more shots. But that's too much of a coincidence for just to be knocking down more shots than normal. That's just bad defense. And is their head coach still Quinn Snyder?
It is.
Fire that man. This team has been too talented for too long to not make it to the Western Conference Finals once over the last 3 years. You have the duo with D. Mitchell and the Defensive Player of the Year, was it 3 times in a row before Marcus Smart? How do you not make it to the Western Conference Finals once? I'm not saying you have to win a game there. Just make it once. That's the only explanation. That's the last thing you got to try right now. You got to go bring in some coach. That bring in Mark Jackson if you can. I mean, the front office, you got Dwayne Wade. You got Dwayne Wade in there. And I guarantee he himself could bring in some free agents if they had money, if they weren't paying Rudy Gobert the crap load they're paying him. So you have that ability now. Push off Quinn Snyder and see if you can bring in a top-tier head coach. Not that Quinn Snyder's not top tier. I was not sure he's the right man for the job in Utah. I like Quinn Snyder, not sure he's the right guy.
It is sad seeing how well they do in the regular season for them to just falter in the playoffs, which almost kind of seems like the Trailblazers. They would do so well in the season. Once playoffs came around, they do nothing, which sucks because those are two like historical teams in the NBA who have had great success in the past. I mean, the mailman.
You have Mailman Stockton. You had Clyde Drexler. You had the Blazers have won a championship. They had Bill.
You had Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge on that team at one point,
and Rasheed freaking Wallace.
Yep, you had everybody, but it'll be interesting. I'm hoping the Nets do not lose tonight. We're going to touch more on Wednesday in regards to the NFL playoffs. Or NFL draft that starts Thursday, just round 1 in Vegas. A lot of talks. I don't think Aiden Hutchinson will be the number 1 overall pick. No. A lot of talks about Nakobe Dean out of Georgia possibly bumping up there, along with Ekem Aganwu, offensive line NC State.
Out of NC State, and I'm also hearing a lot of Trayvon Walker out of Georgia being a guy who's going to jump up way higher than expected. And when you hear the Aiden Hutchinson stuff, I understand why. I understand why. Like, he had great stats and he deserves to be a top 3 pick. But when you look at his body form, he's got smaller arms, smaller hands. His torso isn't as big. That wingspan is not what you
I completely agree with you.
It's not what you prefer it to be in a defensive lineman, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be good. I think he can still be good. I don't think he's going to be the number 1 or even the number 2 pick, though.
I'm still upset with Mel Kiper, okay?
Mel Kiper's a dumbass.
Still saying Kyle Hamilton's not a top 5 pick. He's going to drop to like 12 or 13 now, which I don't understand. It's only because of his pro day, which is stupid.
That is partially why. I've heard this I've watched a lot of ESPN draft analysts say this. One, my buddy, not my buddy, but a guy I really enjoy, and I think you might enjoy too, Joel Klatt, the Fox News college football analyst, has Kyle Hamilton as the second best player in the draft, which he is, by the way, if not first, with just his insane athletic ability that we've seen on the goddamn field. But the reason is the type of safety he is. He's a box safety. It plays more of a box type safety role, which is not what's run frequently in the NFL. That's why he's falling down the boards a little bit.
But he's so athletic, you can put him almost at like any position.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to understand, why that, like, you can play him at linebacker. His play recognition is he can read a run play and stop it from 30 yards out. And if you try to shift calls, he's gonna read it and he's gonna know it's a pass play. He's gonna know exactly where you're going. He's got that IQ and he's a natural leader. The only reason Notre Dame has stuck together for the last 4 years is because he is a
you're
leader.
pulling out too much stuff right now because we got to wait for Alec on Wednesday.
Well, we're doing a whole first round mock draft Wednesday, Brandon. I can talk about Kyle Hamilton being underrated.
I understand that, but we would need to get Alec's input. I was just telling the folks that, listen, we're just going to briefly touch on it, that we're going to talk about it Wednesday. Also, shout out to the Talking Sports podcast, buddies of ours. They came out with an episode today on their mock draft as well. They're on YouTube. Go drop a like and a comment. We'll be dropping our video tonight on YouTube of this episode. Also, I want to say congratulations to Stephen Angeli, the true freshman Notre Dame football team, game-winning touchdown, blue and gold game. Kid looks phenomenal. Drew Pine looked absolutely atrocious. It's scary that their options are Buckner and Pine right now, but if Angeli can get in there, the kid looks like a freaking gunslinger and is a dual threat quarterback, dude.
Shit, why not? Why not just go out with him?
Look, and Autry, whatever his name is, what's his first name? Something Autry.
I don't know. The running back. I couldn't watch it. I was out of town, so I couldn't watch it. But
all I'm saying is there's so much talent on the defensive side. I am stoked for Notre Dame's defense.
Defensive side talent, beautiful. Your head coaching staff is for defense, so they should be top 3 expected, maybe top 5. Either way, you're probably one of the top defenses in the country. And when you look at Notre Dame right now, you have a new head coach. You're looking for a new identity. Look, you're not going to be contending for a championship next year, Ben. Let's be realistic. You have some tough games. You play USC, Ohio State, and Clemson next year. The odds of you winning all 3 are slim. Why the hell not throw Angeli in there? Look, he's a true freshman. You're throwing him in against some of the top 3 teams in the country, and he could be the face of your franchise for the next 4 years.
Listen, crazy stat line from Marcus Freeman era so far. He said he wanted to have Notre Dame as the best recruiting school in the nation. Kelly had, I think, over his tenure, like just 10 5-stars. Or one. He had one 5-star.
No, he had one. Like number 2 recruiting class was his best recruiting class ever, and it wasn't even close to the number 1 recruiting class. It was
Marcus Freeman's like
so
battling
far
for
away.
number 1 right
exactly.
now. Exactly.
Almost 2 years in a row. Look, he comes in and he brings in like 4 4-stars right off the bat for 2022. Now we're looking at 2023, and right now he's fighting with 1. Texas Tech is number 1 right now. That's pretty freaking bonkers. He's fighting with them to get the number 1 spot, which, with how great he is at recruiting, he will. And another thing I love that Marcus Freeman did was he brought back old players that used to play at Notre Dame to the blue gold game. That's not shit you would see with Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly didn't care.
He's too busy talking about his family how he's from the Baton Rouge.
Get myself some gumbo before we go lose to Alabama today.
But anyways, I'm stoked to talk about the draft on Wednesday. I'm glad to have Alec back, all 3 of us back. It's been a crazy couple of weeks with work. You've got all your stuff getting ready to graduate senior year of high school, possibly Ball State, possibly Penn State. We just don't know which one yet. Other than that, don't forget to check us out on YouTube later tonight. The episode will be up, and check out our Instagram and Twitter. Go follow, share the love. We'll be back doing consistent videos for you guys and back on Golf Pick'ems as well. Another tournament this weekend. Boys are back. Golf is coming back for all 3 of us. We can start going out on the weekends and hitting the clubs. But other than that, from Alec and myself now, go Hawks. Since he's not here, go Irish. Freeman era, I am stoked to see what you guys do this year. NBA playoffs have not disappointed. We might be seeing a new champion this year. Brand new one out of nowhere.
We might. Who the hell knows? I think we will see a non-repeat champion this year in college football. Texas should be much improved. Quinn Ewers looked fantastic. USC, for the short amount of time Lincoln Riley has been there, has played way smoother. They're actually tackling people now. And Spencer Rattler is still absolute dog shit. I think that's all I have for today. As Brandon said, go Hawks, go Irish, go Nittany Lions, and go Cardinals. Chirp, chirp. Why not? Their men's volleyball team is pretty damn good.